Hi everybody, it's Mr. Gray here. Thank you for getting through this first week of school. It's been so much fun to get to spend some time with your kids and get to know them both as people and as students. We have such a fantastic year in store for them. I hope they're having a great time in their first few days. Not only are we getting to kind of do some work and see what they're able to produce and think about as I start to learn about them. But we're also able to kind of play some games and have some fun while we learn about some of the expectations of the classroom, the work, and the school, and all those things. So I'm having a great time so far. Your kids have been really great to get to know. They have such great bubbly personalities. And so I think we're going to have a really great time this year. And I'm really excited for that. This video is a great place to kind of get to know what's happening in our classroom for the upcoming week. I will send an email out every Friday morning about this time. Almost all the time it will have an accompanying video. The emails will typically be very short and they will just be a link to our class website. That will be on the email that I sent this morning. That's a great thing to bookmark. That has basically all the information to know. If you save that one website, that will have all of the updates and the announcements. It will have important links for you. It has the work that your kids are doing. It has these videos. So that's your one-stop shop pretty much for almost everything you need. Of course, you can always ask me if you have any questions along the way, but definitely take note of that website and save it, bookmark it somewhere. And of course, if you forget it, you can always let me know. I do have a few announcements for you right here off the top. We have a couple things coming up, not next week, but the week after. There's no school on Monday, September 2nd. It's Labor Day holiday, so you'll have a 3-day weekend. And then that same week on Thursday, September 5th is back to school night. So on that week, Thursday will be a minimum day, meaning school will get out at 1:05, and the actual back to school night where you, the parents, will come to the classroom will be from 6 to 6:35 p.m. that night. I'll try to send out a little information ahead of time, but I would love to see you here, and I'll get to tell you a little more about what's been going on, what's going to be happening throughout the year, and some of my general ideas about, for you, what to expect throughout the year, what you expect your students to be working on. That's what's happening there. The other thing I would say, if you didn't know about this last year, if you're able to, every Friday morning, right at 8:10, the kids meet on the blacktop, and Mr. Potwar runs something that he calls his flag deck, which is basically like a whole class assembly. And so it's open to parents. So if you'd like to come and hear about what's happening at the school and hear from Mr. Potwar, that's a great place every Friday morning on the blacktop. Next week, we're getting into our actual, like academic units a little bit. We're kind of working our way in. This week is a lot about getting to know the students, kind of seeing how they are working and what they're working on, what they're thinking, and then we'll actually get into the the meat of academics. Kind of we'll work our way in next week. So in reading, we're going to read realistic fiction books. The kids will kind of have a limited choice of the books to read, and we'll kind of get into the routines of reading and the work that goes along with that in their class. They'll explore the class library a little bit to get to know what books we have. We have lots of books here and a lot to choose from. And I will use the book Fly Away Home, which is a great book by Eve Bunting. And we'll talk about how readers notice small details and make really precise and strong predictions. And we're going to kind of work our way up the prediction ladder of how strong a prediction can be. And so they're going to be working on that as they are reading their own books. I'll be reading out loud a book called The Wild Robot. We started this week. That book has a movie coming out in about a month. And so you'll hear from me in a few weeks. I'm hoping we can schedule a time. I'll put out a time and say, if you want to come to the movie theater, probably on a weekend at this time, I'll be there to watch the movie. So that'll be a fun kind of informal celebration of reading this book, The Wild Robot. In writing, we're going to start off by the students writing a short narrative piece based on their real life a little bit. It's like some of their own life and some kind of fictional elements, and they're going to be doing it based on a random item. So I'm going to give them a random item, and that's going to be the catalyst for them writing this story. And so they're going to think of themselves as writers. They're going to start planning out their story and thinking about what the characters do, and really try to bring the character to life by mentioning small details and maybe little quirks that really just kind of emphasize that this is a real person, not just a character in a book. In math, we're going to talk about what it means to be a mathematician and explore the routines and some of the work that we're going to be doing in class. We're going to try to solve big problems, and they might be doing that individually or as a team, and we're going to really practice being able to communicate with others and explain your ideas in addition to just solving math problems. And they're also going to take the district test STAR Math, which you might remember from last year, and third grade that every student across the district takes. We're going to start also off with our social studies first unit next week, which is all about America, the United States, before Columbus got there. So we're studying Native American tribes and culture, and what was happening before Columbus arrives in 1492. Excuse me. Our social studies throughout this year is American history from just before Columbus gets there in the late 1400s through the beginning of the 18th century. We're going to spend a lot of time on the American Revolution and the formation of the United States government. It happens to be a great year to study that because it is a presidential election year. So we'll be following the presidential election a little bit here and there. Also next week, the kids will be doing science lab with Mrs. DeMarco. We will start a little bit of grammar study. Next week, we'll be looking at prepositions. And then the only other thing going on is we're really, before we get into using Chromebooks in class, we're going to take some time to talk about the expectations of technology in the classroom, specifically with Chromebooks. And then also a little bit of, if I have a digital watch, an Apple Watch, how do I act in class? What are the expectations there? So already there's a lot going on. We're getting right into it. Full speed ahead. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to seeing you at Back to School Night. It has been a pleasure to get to know your students throughout these first few days. Expect an email every Friday morning that links to the website that has all the most important information. And maybe we'll even see you at Flag Deck on a Friday morning. So let me know if you have any questions, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.